The first step is to get all of your spices together. That includes a tablespoon of cumin seeds, and this is a full measuring size tablespoon, not a tablespoon that would be on your dinner table. All of these spices have to go into oil to be cooked together, and some of them are whole and some of them are ground this time. This is an unusual method. You don't usually see this, but it gives the spices a different flavor. Everything you do to the spices ahead of time will alter the flavor of the final dish. This is a turmeric, and again, a full measuring tablespoon of turmeric. Also, all the rest of the spices go in together. That includes the mustard seeds. Now, for some reason or another, the salt goes in here too. I don't understand that because salt doesn't fry. But perhaps it absorbs some of the flavor. I don't know why. This is what they do, so I'm doing it the same way. Now, the only exception to the actual whole spices will be the allspice berries, which I'm picking half a dozen of, and the black pepper. And again, about that many, maybe a couple more. And those are going to be ground up, just crushed, really, in a mortar and pestle first. You don't want to grind them to a powder, but you don't want to put these in whole. Because in the final dish, you'll end up with a large piece of spice. So just crack them. That's fine. And then that goes into the rest of the spices. Also, the fenugreek, don't forget. On the stove, I have a pan that I've weighed out 75 grams of vegetable oil. It's 2.5 ounces into it. And this is going to be on a medium heat for a couple minutes to start getting it warm before I add the spices to it. Okay, temperature in here is about 240 right now, which is good. I'm going to add the spices to this, and we're going to heat it only until it gets to about 300. If you have an infrared thermometer, it makes this task much easier. Otherwise, you just kind of have to estimate how long it should be in there. Maybe 1 to 2 minutes. Here, check it, it's at 305, that's enough. Now, we're going to put this back in this dish to cool down while we put the other ingredients together. Let's let this sit here for a good 10 or 15 minutes while you get rid of get the other things ready. Now we begin combining the ingredients for the masala, or the spice paste. This is 4 cloves of garlic. I give it 1 coarse chop in order to help it out. The same thing with the tomato. Anytime that you're going to put something into a food processor cup and you want to grind it up into a paste, you want to start with small sized chunks. That's half a small tomato. If you're using tomato paste, which you can substitute, then use about 1 ounce or about 30 grams. And that's the same reason grating the ginger up first before it goes in, because otherwise the stick blender won't really be able to make it into a puree. Ginger has too much fiber in it. What about a tablespoon? Like that. We're also going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of dried basil. There, we're going to add the yogurt, which is 120 grams. And finally, a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice in here before we add the spice mixture back. Now, this is a plastic cup, and it wasn't very long since these were cooked. So you want to bravely stick your finger in it. If you can stick your finger in it, then you know it won't melt the plastic. So it's cooled off enough by now. If it burns your finger, don't put it in, because all that's going to happen is you're going to melt the stick blender bowl. All these lovely spices go into this, and this whole thing obviously gets ground up into a paste. And it's done. Now at this point you want to begin preheating the oven to 200 degrees. And while the oven is preheating, we want to cut this cauliflower up into fairly large pieces, a little bit larger than would be bite size, and but definitely do not cut it too small. After you've got the cauliflower cut up, then wash it well, dry it, and put this paste onto it and begin stirring this around. I suggest you not use your fingers. because the amount of turmeric in this and the other spices will stain your fingers, and it's very hard to get it off. So either wear gloves or stir it around with a spoon. But you want to get these pieces of cauliflower evenly coated. After you've got it stirred around, you use a large casserole dish that has a lid, and you transfer this cauliflower into the dish. And if there's a little bit of extra marinade left in the bowl, don't go crazy and try scraping this out and pouring it all over it. The cauliflower's got what it wants on it. You can save this and use it for another batch, but you don't want it soaking in sauce. This has got to be somewhat dry. Now we're going to put this in the oven for 200 degrees with the fan assist going for 10 minutes uncovered. First 10 minutes uncovered. After 10 minutes has elapsed, take this out. You can see there's starting to be a little bit of browning on the top. Now we're going to put the lid on it. It goes back in for another 20 minutes. And after 20 more minutes, through the magic of video editing, I'm going to remove this lid, set it off to the side, and continue cooking this. But now, you're going to kill the heat and just leave it in the very hot oven for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes. Just leave it there and let it dry out a little bit more. 8 more minutes in the oven at the same temperature, but no additional heat being applied. It's finished. I'm just going to add a little minced cilantro on it, and it's ready to serve. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.